Folks, hello and welcome to Tavern Chat. I am your host, Eric Tenkar, your bartender in the OSR, and today I was forwarded the today's email from GaryCon, which gives some updates as to what's going on at GaryCon. New special guests. The fact that I believe Mike Pondsmith is going to be there is awesome. I briefly didn't even get a chance to meet Mike. I mean, we didn't talk. We just got the head nod at TotalCon a few years back. But Mike's influence on the gaming industry is huge. So I really am glad that he's going to be there. But that's not really what I want to cover today. I want to cover, uh, as you can see in the title here, COVID and masks. Okay, so let's skip down to the second paragraph, and we're gonna. It might take a little while to get through this. This is actually a second attempt. My cat decided to use her pan in this room, and bury poops, which was so loud and distracting that I lost my train of thought. So I had to go and do this again. So from GaryCon, a few weeks ago, I made a news post regarding our stance on coronavirus and precautions we were taking to help protect everyone coming to celebrate with us in Lake Geneva. Now, it should be noted that it was actually 2 months ago, August 31st. So, and by the way, nothing here is going to be a surprise. This is just a restatement. But I think we got to do a little bit of a follow up here. You can find that post and video here at CV19 Stance. And you can go to the GaryCon site. It's easy enough to find. When you pick up your badge, we are requiring everyone to show proof of vaccination, or if you can't vaccinate for medical reasons, we will accept a negative coronavirus test within the last 72 hours. Now, they're saying medical reasons. There are also religious reasons why you would not get the vaccine. And it doesn't necessarily come down to just a very small swath of Christians, but it can be a large swath of people who have issues with the idea of using cells from aborted fetuses in the research for these viruses, which is something that came out not too, I guess, maybe late summer, but it came out. So I could understand why some people would be reluctant on religious reasons not to get it. So to leave out the religious, I personally think not so good. But all right. In any case, um, when if you can't remember, we will accept a negative coronavirus test within the last 72 hours. I want to emphasize that vaccination is preferred, and we encourage everyone who is able to get vaccinated prior to coming to GaryCon. Okay, I'm vaccinated. Okay, I've mentioned that before. I'm vaccinated. Rach is vaccinated. I have comorbidities coming out of my ass, and I'm 54. If there are side effects to this, 20, 30 years down the line, uh, it's probably going to be the least of my worries. Okay, I was more worried about the effects now if I came out with coronavirus with congestive heart failure, type 2 diabetes, obesity, cancer survivor, the whole nine yards. Okay, so I am not anti vax. I do have an issue with masking requirements from people who, or for people who are vaxxed, because I was sold on the vaccine that the idea of the vaccine was that you will be able, after receiving the vaccine, to live a relatively normal life, not have to walk around everywhere with a mask. All right, with the exceptions of doctors' offices, medical facilities, um, public transportation, planes. Uh, I'm willing to accept that. Okay, but I should be able to walk into my local bar, local restaurant, go food shopping, and not have to wear a mask. And I personally feel that that should also include going to gaming conventions because, um, and I know we talk about this like, oh, well, these conventions are crowded. Sure, they are. Sure they are. But you're walking past people and you're sitting at a table with people. You at most conventions, you aren't sitting on top of each other. Some of them are. GaryCon can be a crowded location. I suspect it's not going to be as crowded this year as it has in years in the past. Still, I understand that. And I understand too that there are people out there that are very much in favor of mask mandates, and they have that right to be in favor of that. I have a right to not be comfortable in a mask. And again, the compact that I made with society, with the CDC, with the federal government who organized the vaccine, was that you get the vaccine and you return to a largely normal life. You can do events without a mask, right? Go to sporting events without a mask. Go to the movies without a mask. If that's the situation, or if that was the promise, now we're breaking that promise. If the vaccine wasn't going to improve my quality of life, I could still be doing everything with a mask, right? And it's kind of like some areas of the country, I think it's pretty much like that. Where you go, you have to have a mask. Studies are showing, I'm not going to get into them, there are studies that show, and I think Milwaukee actually quotes this because there was a push to get a mask mandate, and they're like, masks don't help. Um, we've seen conflicting medical studies on the effects of masking. It's for certain that if you're wearing an N95, that's one thing. If you're wearing a gaiter or a surgical mask, probably not doing much. But in any case, um, the further issue to me, and the book, I'll proceed with the email here. We are encouraging everyone to wear masks over their mouth and nose while they are at GaryCon. I understand that some of you are opposed to wearing a mask while gaming because it may muffle your voice or make it hard to read lips. Those are hard to read expressions and read faces. It's hard to get that personal feedback. So, um, I strongly suspect that you're going to have an easier time running and playing games over GaryCon's virtual aspect using Discord and Roll20 or whatever, and get visual feedback from your players than you will at a table face to face with masks on. All right. In a way, masks turn everything into, I don't know, a verbal text messaging where you don't get the nuance of what's being sent. You lose out on so much. So I think it's a shame that you have to have a vax mandate basically for the con and a mask mandate in place. And I understand part of the reason why is too, God forbid it comes a super spreader event, right? And you didn't require both, then even if you're not legally at fault, you're afraid that you're going to hear bad stuff, right? Because this is what happened with Gen Con. Oh wait, no, it did happen at Gen Con, right? There was no super spreader event at Gen Con. But Gen Con was requiring vaccine mandates, right? And then what happened was Indianapolis was like, oh no, it's a large event. Everybody's gonna have to be masked. And they said, all right, well, vaccines aren't required then, so we're not gonna ask for vaccines. Let's have everybody mask up. So if you're gonna have everybody masked, then why? My opinion, my thoughts. Why even worry about the vaccine, right? If masks are there to protect people, then why are we worried about the vaccine? But if you are vaccinated, why are you worrying about a mask? Yes, I know the vaccine does not. It was sold as immunity. It's not immunity. Okay, it is. It's kind of kind of the flu vaccine, right? It lessens the impact of the virus should you come down with it. It does give you some resistance, but it's supposed to make severe illness become much more mild. That's what it is. I've also seen studies that within the next couple of years, everybody's going to have come down with COVID or a variation of COVID, and that's just the way this. It's less a pandemic, and now it's an endemic. I know I'm getting into the weeds here a bit, but I think it's important because I think going forward, we are going to see self selection when it comes to things like gaming conventions or other large gatherings that all of a sudden are going to say, oh, well, yeah, the government doesn't require masks, but we're going to require masks. People are going to go, all right, then I guess I will go to the other event that doesn't require masks from their vaccinated guests. I know people are going to be upset by this, and I suspect that there are people that are registered for GaryCon that are going to wait until like 2 weeks before to pull their plug and pull their reservations to see if the the mask mandate is still in effect. Son of a! All right, I'm gonna pull my cancel my plane tickets, cancel my car rental, and cancel at the Grand Geneva or wherever you want to be staying. So it's good news if you do want to go to GaryCon. I suspect about 2 weeks prior to the con, if things don't change, expect to see um, some rooms open up that you weren't going to expect to see prior. So this may mean that some choose not to attend this year, and I respect your freedom to do so. However, I am committed to the safety of everyone coming to celebrate with us. And again, like I said, I understand. It's the abundance of safety issue. I can understand it and still not agree with it, but I can understand it. I discussed this at length with several people in the community prior to making a decision, including my very own brother, Ernie Gygax. Now, this gets interesting for a reason that's got nothing to do with COVID, masks, vaccines, none of that stuff. He expressed his concerns over the difficulty of running long games for a large number of people. All right. So, difficulty of running long games for a large number of people. What's left out of that sentence, and I'm going to fill it in with a mask. Okay. That's what's missing from that sentence. Um, in the end, we agreed that it was the right thing to do. And even though he won't be running games at GaryCon, he will be there to socialize and celebrate the life of our father. Ernie will not be running games at GaryCon. Now, I believe on Facebook, not too long ago, maybe last week or earlier this week, I'm not even sure. Uh, Luke had mentioned that Ernie will be running games at GaryCon. Ernie will not be running games at GaryCon. I can almost guarantee you he will be running games at TSRCon. And I can I can guarantee you that, and again, I don't like Justin Lanasa. We go head to head on a lot of stuff, but I will give credit where credit is due. I can guarantee you that gaming at the Dungeon Hobby Shop Museum, with few seats are there, you will not be required to mask, and they will not be asking for your vaccine. So, I'm not making a statement that says people should go and play at the Dungeon Hobby Shop Museum. I am saying Ernie is not going to be running games at GaryCon. That is news. That is something that people who were expecting to play with Gary Ernest Gary Gygax, Ernie, um, should realize that that's not going to be the case. However, it is likely to be the case at the Dungeon Hobby Shop Museum. Such is the world we live in. Now, have the paragraph finish, and that is really the most important thing: sharing camaraderie with our gamer family, and in this case, my immediate family. Fair enough. So, they will also be offering tableside food and beverage services to our much beloved attendees. We will require all to stay masked unless they are actively eating or drinking. Similar to the guidelines used during air travel, if the health guidelines change before we get to GaryCon, we will adjust accordingly to best look out for everyone's health and safety. Well, let's be honest. They can't ramp it up anymore, right? You can't ramp up the safety anymore than if you said we're just not going to have the convention. All right. So, can you ramp it down? I don't know if you can even ramp it down. There are people that are going to go to this because you have to wear a mask. And if you remove the mask mandate, people are going to cancel. There were people that were upset that North Texas was not going to have a mask mandate. The state of Texas didn't allow North Texas to have a mask mandate. Didn't mean you couldn't wear a mask if you didn't want to, but the point of masks is not to protect you, it's to protect others from you. So if you're worried about catching COVID, you wearing a mask does little, if anything. If you yourself are transmitting COVID, your mask may slow transmission to others. So, again, I am not a medical professional. I make no statements that I am, and I make no inferences that I am. So, on that note, I've brought up COVID, right? We've brought up the pandemic. I say this at the end of every one of these episodes. Use your common sense. I'm vaccinated. I don't hide that fact. I made my decision for my health and the safety of my wife, my parents, my family. All right. You know your health situation better than anybody else. You know your risk factors better than anybody else. Your equation is different than everybody else's. My equation, vaccine was pretty much a no-brainer. My son, at the age of 28, he only recently got, I think, the last month because he thinks he might want to go on a cruise. I wouldn't go on a cruise even before the pandemic. But in any case, that's the only reason why he did it. Okay? So think about that, folks. You want to make decisions that are right for you, your loved ones, your family, your friends, your community. Be safe, be well. God bless. Roll those dice. Roll them well. Tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, we are going to be doing a very special live stream of Gamers Health where Tenkar does yoga in some of the most obnoxiously loud, tight-fitting clothing I could find that's undersized for my build. It's going to be fun. It's going to be for a good cause. We are going to have a donation link up for St. Jude's Children's Hospital. We're trying to raise money for them. I got a couple of people who've already pledged probably about $300-400 that people have said they're going to donate. I'd like to see it happen. I'd like to see us get more. And if it becomes a good event and we raise a nice amount of money, maybe we'll do this seasonally. I don't mind making a fool of myself on a fairly regular basis. All right, folks. On that note, I'm going to bow out. I will see the rest of you tonight, 8 p.m., this very channel. I don't know what my cat's doing. All right. Later, folks.